Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to our deep dive today. We're going to be exploring Surah at Takwir,
Assalamu alaikum.
the 81st chapter of the Quran. You've sent over the verses, and we're going to kind of unpack them and see what kind of imagery and messages we can get out of them.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
It starts with a pretty, maybe even kind of unsettling image at the very beginning when the sun is put out.
Yeah.
I mean, just that right there. It's just the first line, Quran 81.1, when the sun is put out. I mean, it really feels like the rug is being pulled out from under, existence itself.
Right. It's definitely meant to get your attention right out of the gate. And it just continues to build this image of like cosmic upheaval.
Yeah.
And when the stars fall down and when the mountains are blown away.
It's 81.2 and 3.
These celestial bodies, these mountains, these things that we think of as so permanent, so, symbols
of stability,
Symbols of stability,
Liz.
are all just swept away. So it really, I think, evokes a sense of awe and maybe even fear. It reminds us of the ultimate power of Allah.
Yeah. I think it's interesting how it goes from these very large cosmic scale events.
Right.
And then it goes into these, what might seem like smaller details, more earthly, intimate details, I guess.
Right.
81.4 through 6. When the pregnant camels are left unattended, and when wild beasts are gathered together, and when the seas are set on fire. It's a fascinating kind of juxtaposition.
I think that's what makes these verses so compelling. It brings the cosmic down to a human scale.
Right.
So like the image of the pregnant camels, so vulnerable, they need care.
Yeah.
Being left unattended. It speaks to this breakdown of like natural order and responsibility.
Right.
And even the wild beasts, which are normally solitary creatures, are driven together. So it just emphasizes the sense of chaos and, disruption, and then the seas bursting into flames.
Yeah, the sea.
The vast, untamable seas on fire. That's a truly apocalyptic image.
It really is. And then, I guess this is sort of like, the verses that we've just been talking about are kind of all about how this day of judgment is going to affect, all of creation.
Right.
Nothing is exempt from it. But then it turns its focus to humanity specifically.
Right.
Verses 7 through 9. And when the souls and their bodies are paired once more, and when the baby girls buried alive are asked for what crime they were put to death, it's pretty heart-wrenching, this part.
Yeah, it is. And it also introduces this very important theme of accountability. Right. So each soul reunited with its body, now it has to answer for its deeds. And I think that the image of the baby girls buried alive, a practice that is condemned by Islam.
Of course, yeah.
Being given a voice to testify.
Yeah.
That's particularly poignant, speaks volumes about Allah's justice and compassion, that even the most vulnerable will have their suffering acknowledged.
Yeah. It's interesting, too, because I think this idea of giving a voice to those who were, silenced, it challenges us to think about what kind of justice we're upholding in this world, knowing that there is that perfect accountability waiting.
Oh, right, exactly.
Okay, so we see that, and then it continues, and it's almost like this theme of unveiling. And when the records of deeds are laid open, and when the sky is stripped away, and when the hellfire is fiercely flared up, and when paradise is brought near, on that day, each soul will know what it has brought along.
81.10 through 14.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's really like layers of reality are being peeled back, leading to this moment of ultimate truth. Right. So, the records, our deeds, the very heavens are all laid bare. And then paradise and hell, which we often think of as these abstract concepts, become immediate, intangible realities.
Yeah.
So there's a real sense of urgency here, a call to examine our actions, our intentions, knowing that ultimately nothing will remain hidden.
Absolutely. And then I think there's a pretty interesting shift at this point in the surah.
Yeah.
It says, I do swear by the receding stars which travel and hide, and the night as it falls and the day as it breaks.
Right.
It's 81.15 through 18.
Yeah.
Why this emphasis?
Well, I think it's interesting. They're using this rhetorical technique that's used throughout the Quran, where basically you're swearing by something.
Right.
As if to really draw attention to the weight and the truth of the message that's about to follow.
Got it.
So in this case, what's about to follow is this statement about the nature of the Quran itself.
Okay.
And the Prophet Muhammad's PBUH role as the messenger.
Okay.
So 81.19 through 21. Indeed, this is the word of Allah, delivered by Gabriel, a noble messenger angel full of power, held in honor by the Lord of the throne, obeyed there in heaven, and trustworthy.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty powerful affirmation of the Quran's divine origin and authority. And then not only that, but I think this part is also interesting because it seems to be directly addressing the skeptics.
Right.
The people who doubted the prophet.
Yeah.
PBH.
Yeah.
81.22 through 25.
Yeah.
And your fellow man is not insane. And he did see that angel on the clear horizon. Mm-hmm. And he does not withhold what is revealed to him of the unseen. Mm-hmm. And this is not the word of an outcast devil.
Yeah, it's a very, very direct rebuttal. It's a defense of the prophet's sanity, his integrity.
Yeah.
So these verses, I think, are really crucial in affirming, his prophethood and the divine source of his message.
Yeah, I mean, so the surah is kind of alluding to the fact that there were people who were saying he was insane or that it was, some kind of demonic influence or whatever. And it's just a full-on rebuttal to that. Yeah, I mean, so we see this theme of, this day of judgment. Then we see this theme of accountability and kind of the truth being revealed. And then, we even see a defense of the Quran and the prophet, PBUH. And then I think the surah ends on this really beautiful note. It's this kind of universal call to guidance. So what other path would you take? Surely this is only a reminder to the whole world, to whoever of you wills to take the straight way, but you cannot will to do so, except by the will of Allah, the Lord of all worlds. Verses 26 through 29. What do you think about this ending here?
It's really powerful, right? Because it's highlighting this concept of free will, our ability to choose to follow the path of righteousness. But at the same time, it's acknowledging that our capacity to choose and to act righteously is ultimately guided by the will of Allah.
So it's not like it's completely up to us, this idea of free will.
Yeah.
But there's a divine aspect to it as well.
Yeah, it's both.
Yeah.
It's recognizing both our own agency and the ultimate will of Allah.
Okay. That's really interesting. So, I mean, it's not simply a description of the Day of Judgment.
Right.
But it's a reminder that, there's this element of faith, there's this element of justice, there's an element of accountability to Allah. It's very philosophical.
Absolutely.
Very profound.
Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum. I mean, this has been a really thought-provoking surah, to say the least.
Yeah, it always is.
Yeah.
It's an invitation, really, to examine our lives in light of, the ultimate reality that awaits us.
Yeah.
To strive for righteousness, to seek guidance from the Quran and the teachings of the Prophet PBUH.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining me on this deep dive. And assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
To everyone listening.